Tell me something.
I would definitely agree. I mean, I'm a really busy person, so I like the workshop that your students will be going to. They've changed it from time management to time prioritizing, because no matter how well you manage your time, there really is only 24 hours in a day, so that's a bummer. But something we're all working with. And for me, as far as technology goes, I use a Google Calendar, and that's the way I just do it, and it's attached to my email. But every student will find something that works for them. If it's still paper, like a paper planner, maybe they'll start that way. But I like that I can't lose it. I can log in on any computer, so that's really useful for me. Sometimes if I'm particularly tired and I need to remember where I'm going, it's very helpful. But yeah, so that's been my experience with that. Stay organized if you want. The more you want to experience, the more organized you need to be.
If you have any questions, feel free to ask.
Do you use Google Docs, or would it be wise to have Office on a PC as far as turning in documents for coursework?
Yeah, I use that when I'm working with groups. It's really nice because the question was to use Google Docs. So Google has an array of everything, but their formatting is a little funny when it comes to printing. So I definitely recommend having some kind of word processing thing for that. But it's great to collaborate with different people.
Yeah, it's going to get tricky because we have faculty members who have heard of email, that's about all, and others who are inventing new software products. And so they're 4 or 5 years here, they're going to be experiencing all different.
Does Cal Poly use Gmail for students or faculty yet? No.
No, and most faculty will only respond to the Cal Poly email. It's an official form of communication. So I think you can just change it on your Gmail depending what email you use to make it say that it's from my Cal Poly one. So it's just a setting in there, and that's what I use. I keep it all in one, but different students have all of their school communication at their school email. As long as they come up with a system that works, that's completely fine. But for me, I get it all in one thing, because some faculty aren't that happy with emails, so they only respond to ones that are from official sites.
You mentioned sleep, and I was wondering how many hours students actually get to sleep, and does it vary from a freshman to a senior?
So how many hours do students actually sleep? Do we know how many hours students actually sleep? That's a good question. I don't know if we know. As far as a national study, there's probably been something that I'm not sure what the data is. I don't know that Cal Poly has done that, but did you get enough sleep?
I don't know if I'm the best example for this particular question. But no, I do not get enough sleep. I think I put that on myself, with choosing to be involved in so many different things and still be passionate about my schoolwork. So, and I worked also. So it's up to your student with how much they want to get involved with. But I definitely noticed that when I didn't make sleep a priority, it took me longer to do things. So it's very necessary to their experience in college. They can do more better if they're sleeping a little bit more. Their work slows down quite a bit.
Yeah, and having that conversation, making that connection between fatigue and getting behind and not meeting obligations and not getting enough sleep, just having a conversation to see if there's any connection between the two. And often there is. They need to figure it out for themselves. Okay. So some other things that we know that are qualities of a student who is successful. By successful, we basically mean that they graduate from college and decent grades, done well, and are happy with their experience. That they're socially connected. Trust me, there are students who come here and are not socially connected. That they don't have a group of friends, or maybe not even one friend. It does happen. And their ability to stay enrolled and complete their education is extremely challenged if that's the case. And so there are many, many opportunities here to get connected. But you have to sort of do it on yourself. No one's going to pull you out of bed or pull you out of your residence hall and drag you down somewhere and make you get involved in something. So being socially connected, showing up, Woody Allen line about 80% of life. It's true in terms of academics. You got to go to class, whether it's an 8 o'clock class or an evening class, you really do have to show up. Did you ever have any college classes where it wouldn't matter if you didn't show up?
No, some teachers post material online, so your student may think that it doesn't matter, and if you hear them comforting you with the fact that they're not attending class because, oh, don't worry, the teacher posts their presentations, there's something being said in class that they're missing. There's a level of depth and understanding, and yes, if they don't go to class, it's a textbook answer, but it's right. Their grades will be affected no matter how much they can learn outside the classroom. It's much easier to just go to class.
And showing up also means showing up with the appropriate materials that you need for the class. You know, some students think they might be able to get away without buying all the books or some supplemental things, but that may be true, but we know that those who do have all the instructional materials tend to be successful, so the quality. Setting goals. I don't know that when you're necessarily 17, 18 years of age, and you're thinking a lot about setting goals. As parents, you might be encouraging you to, but it's not something I think that happens necessarily intrinsically in the evolution and development of a person at that age is thinking about that. But those who do, both short-term and long-term, tend to have a better chance of meeting goals that they set than those who haven't set any goals at all. And some of those goals might be things like, I need to complete 40 units this academic year, or I have the goal of getting a job that's related to my major within a year or within some amount of time. Because then you're going to keep that in your mind and you're going to look for those opportunities. So students who do that do well. Students who think critically, and by thinking critically, we're really talking about thinking before they act, thinking through their decisions, thinking about the impact the decision they have, their making has on another person. Being able to do that kind of thoughtfulness ahead of time is a great skill to have. And of course, self-discipline, something that we all have, I'm sure, in terms of when we set those goals and we make our plans, we all stick to them and never waver. But if they do have a goal such as I'm going to exercise so many times a week or so many hours, and they have the self-discipline to actually stick to those kinds of things, then obviously as in life they will be more successful. And the following is, the last is the idea of the 3 R's, not reading, writing, arithmetic, but respect, responsibility, and resourcefulness. That students who respect themselves and respect others and treat people that way. Students who accept responsibility for their obligations and their actions. And then students who are resourceful, who get things done that need to be done legally, are students that tend to be successful. So those are what are some, not necessarily all, of the qualities of what could make a successful person, but in this case we're talking about successful students. How about those? Any resonate? Did you set goals?
Yes, goals are very important, and they'll change, just like what I was saying before with the self-identity. Some things that are important to your student, their incoming year, may not be the same things that are important as they come out with.
How did you get socially connected? Through your department, through clubs and organizations, through other social opportunities? How did you do that?
For me, I did it lots of different ways. My department, I'm an engineering major, so at the time, it's gotten more well-rounded, but at the time it was mostly guys, and I was making some female friends, so I joined a sorority my second year. So I started getting involved that way. Once you're in Greek life, you hear about lots of other ways to get involved on campus, so then I started getting involved in orientation programs, and that's where I sort of fell in love, spent a lot of time here. And then later, actually, I ended up coming back my last year and getting more involved in my department and worked on the executive board for every major has a little club. So I ended up doing that and kind of did it backwards than most students do, but it was a good way to just start doing something. If you like it, you do more of it, and you make friends in that area, and they probably are involved in other areas, and just try it out. Just kind of branch out, but get involved in something. Even if you're not sure if you like it. I never thought I would rush a sorority, and it ended up bringing me to orientation programs, which is something I'm very passionate about.
Do you have any questions about anything, meaning in life? I'll go away. So then we have to talk a little bit about causes of an unsuccessful college experience, because it does happen. Cal Poly has better than average retention and graduation rates for the California State University system, certainly. I think they're the highest other than Maritime, one of the bigger students. So the students that come here tend to stay and do pretty well. National average, if you look at the national average, it's still only about 3/4, so there's still 1 in 4 students that are starting school this fall. They won't graduate by the end of the 6th. They do a 6-year analysis basically to figure out how many students are graduating. I think it's a little misleading because if you start here and you go somewhere else and you finish, you have a 50% graduation rate. You left one school and graduated from another school. So overall, I think that 100% to start this year, more than 75% will graduate from college. But we know in 6 years right now, about 75% graduate from here. So they're not all going to be successful. And some of the things that prevent them from being successful are not understanding the amount of work required. And the variable there is the high school and how much work is required in high school and how that compares to what they're now being expected to do. It's always going to be more, but if it's a lot more, then that can come as quite a shock to students. In those cases, depending on what your timeline is, obviously if you're taking less units, you have less demand. So do talk to them about the amount of workload that they have and how comfortable they are with that workload and the number of units that they have. Other activities, obviously, we get pulled away by things, whether it's work, fraternities, or clubs, or just video games, or whatever it is. But not having that discipline, not having that balance of being able to balance those things out. And of course, well, students remember to have fun and to play and have a good time. And they need to do that and have lots of opportunities, healthy opportunities to do that. But finding that balance is a tricky part. Sometimes they pick the wrong major, and they are unsuccessful simply because they just pick the wrong major. And we expect, actually require students to pick majors here. I think we're the only CSU that requires that. But, most of them, there's another one that does it not. And so they can change majors certainly, but they are coming in a certain major, doing certain things. They think that's what their expectations. I don't know how many of you started with an idea in mind at 17 and are still doing it, or you're doing it right after college. I didn't think of it that way. So sometimes it doesn't mean you can't transfer to another major in this college and be successful. But one of the things we do know is that students either stay too long in a major and just drop out or fail because they're not going to do well. Poor communication skills, another great life skill that all of us need, whether it's writing or speaking verbally, being able to communicate effectively. The inability to do that can be problematic as a college student. And then just lack of effort and motivation. I was going to college, their idea. Was it your idea? They went because they were told to, they were expected to, they really don't want to be here. That's an obvious reason why someone's not going to be successful. And not everybody is motivated at this time in their life to get a college degree. It's just the way it is. They need to go work or do something else for a while. And for some students, that's the reality. Failure to assume responsibility. And I didn't know the paper was due. I didn't know the test, whatever. They have a lot of responsibilities, and they no longer have you to be there guiding them in the way that you once were. And so being able to assume those responsibilities and be disciplined, if they are unsuccessful at that, they will be unsuccessful in college. And then last is the lack of ability and or for high school preparation. So they come from many backgrounds, many different school districts. We know for a fact that the one major variable in learning is good teaching. So, they had good teachers, they may be well prepared. If they didn't have great teachers, they're not going to be as prepared. And then sometimes just lack of ability. We see that certainly less here. It's just a more competitive college, but in some cases, individuals lack the ability, and therefore they end up not completing their education. So those are. Would you add anything to that list? Or?
No, I'd say it really all comes down to lack of motivation. Whatever is providing that, whether it's a link major or you gotta be doing other things. A student, every student needs to find out what is going to make them push forward. So we just encourage you to have those conversations with the student, and because it's different for everyone. If it's you and they're terrified of letting you down, that could work. It may not work for other students. So just talk to them and figure out what they're going to need to really push them forward through those times when they're going to be tempted to do other things. And now I know we're running a little bit over, so if we just want to open up to any other questions that you want answered at the end, and then we'll let you run off to dinner.
Yes. Yes.
So how does the school help if the student has chosen the wrong major?
So how does the school help a student who's chosen the wrong major? Right? That's one of the things that we do need to get better at, actually. It's because they're, advising on this college is done by the college in which the student is in, as opposed to a general advising method where a student would go to one advising center and get advice. So that this ability for the colleges to talk to each other and to understand how it's the easiest for a student to transfer. A lot of it is on the student's shoulders to seek out that information and follow through on it. So they would start with their advisor within the college that they're in. And the different colleges have different advising models. Meaning some may have a faculty member who's the advisor, and you may have a professional advisor whose job is advising. So they need to talk to that person and say, you know, I don't think I'm in the right major. Have that conversation, and if they believe that's true, go talk to someone in the